go watch Hobbs and Shaw, David Leitch's new film,
Yeah.
the spin-off of the Fast and Furious series. I found myself watching a lot of Fast and Furious this weekend on TV in my downtime, living my life a quarter mile at a time. Man, I'm not a huge Fast and Furious
Right.
fan, so going to see Hobbs and Shaw, my expectations were pretty low. You're about to say something. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say it's also not the best entry point for the franchise, given that's a spin-off.
Right.
You
I've seen bits and pieces. I don't think I've ever sat down and watched one all the way through. Car movies, yeah, are not really my thing. This basically ended up being B-level Mission Impossible in my book, which I was okay with. It was entertaining. There were certain things that I thought worked really well. Certain things I thought did not land at all. But overall, I left relatively happy. How did you feel about Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah. As you said, the Fast and Furious franchise, despite being the most financially successful and dominant action franchise we have, it is not as intelligent as Mission Impossible or the Jason Bourne series. No one would say that. It's not Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh my God, it's Deckard Shaw. Imagine that.
And even as the franchise has grown past it's not about street racing anymore. That's long gone ever since Fast 5, really. And now it's just pure action. But the fact that we actually got to a point where we have a spin-off with the villain of the 6th film and a supporting good guy who we saw in the 5th film, it's just kind of funny that we got here. And honestly, I didn't really feel like there was that many through lines for it being a fast movie beyond the obvious family platitudes that we usually expect from Vin Diesel and crew. La Familia, the Torettos, we get it, right? Like Vin is basically giving the same speech for 8 films, and now we had Hobbs and Hobbs's mom give us that speech this time around. And I guess even Vanessa Kirby and Jason Statham are 20 years apart roughly as in real life, but they're siblings in this movie, and their mom's Helen Mirren, who we previously had met as well. So there's your family connection. There's your franchise.
We're a family
tissue. But yeah, I think it's just kind of a brainless, but also very enjoyable action romp, And I think the key we needed was Vin Diesel and Jason Statham, or The Rock would be very mad at me now. The Rock and Jason Statham to have great chemistry for this movie to work, and we've got a hint of their chemistry in Fast 8, and I think they work. They play off each other really well, and I actually like how they built up to them going from straight guys that just don't fuck with each other to actual, having a bit of mutual respect. I liked how it got to that point, and Idris, who we had previously seen in a blockbuster franchise as a villain in Star Trek Beyond with lots of prosthetics. I think he's really good at selling a bunch of crap, like a Brixton. I think there was a lot to Brixton, but I like watching Idris do things, and whether that's just people up or riding a kick-ass motorcycle. Cool, man. But he was fun. But obviously the star, to the shock of absolutely nobody, was Vanessa Kirby, who we had just seen do this even better in Mission Impossible Fallout. And man, I thought she was fantastic the whole time. And I actually was surprised she was in the movie as much as she was. I didn't realize she was basically the third lead. But I had a lot of fun with that. And like I said, the plot's super brainless. The bad guys, whatever, that we hadn't seen before. But we get some crazy fast shit. In this case, it was a bunch of trucks hooked up to each other to keep a helicopter close. Sure, man. And having The Rock flex holding a chain while attached to a tow truck, as it were. This is the guy who, Hobbs, of course, we know, diverted a torpedo from a submarine. Go. So why not hold a helicopter with his sheer hands? I'm with it. So yeah, I had a good time.
Isn't this just like G.I. Joe's now?
It's funny. He was in G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yeah. So I want to start with maybe the first thing that stood out to me that I was just kind of like, what are we doing here? How old do you think Vanessa Kirby is?
She's like 34?
31. Yep,
Okay.
you're close. How old do you think Jason Statham is?
He's in his 50s. I didn't know that.
Right? And yeah, he's 52. They're 21 years apart. A whole person who could have been born and been able to drink at this point.
Got drafted.
But apparently, their brother and sister, who were close enough in age where they were doing these
grew up together
things together. Who's aging up? Who's aging down here? Because Vanessa Kirby, I don't think she can play up. So Jason Statham, I'm supposed to believe he's like 35.
You know, it's funny. He basically looks he's looked exactly the same since we saw him in Snatch.
True,
right? Like he I guess we're aging Statham down. I didn't actually realize he was in his 50s. I thought he was maybe 40. I thought he was like Leonardo DiCaprio's age or something.
Huh.
40s. But yeah, that's not a big stretch for me. I mean, he's always been bald. He's always been muscular,
right?
So I can look past that.
Okay, so the next thing, I'm supposed to believe Vanessa Kirby is really into The Rock. There was nothing there, no chemistry. I was like, yeah, man, get that love connection out of
climb this mountain, baby.
I mean, when I know I have to basically throw belief out the window in a lot of these things. Like you said, The Rock was like holding onto a chain, like in midair, holding like a helicopter. It was like ridiculous shit. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The Rock is basically like a real life superhero at this point. But just some of those little things like just didn't make sense to me. Maybe make Vanessa Kirby like a cousin, or at least in the flashbacks, like show her being a little bit younger. The things that worked for me though were all the action scenes. I thought the action in this movie was really well done and really fun. I really liked a lot of the car chases, actually, probably more than I like the actual fighting. You know, things like when Jason Statham is driving his, I think it was a Ferrari McLaren through London, and he goes underneath that tractor trailer, and then Brixton on the motorcycle, like slides underneath too.
That's a nod to Fast One. That was what Letty used to do in the very first movie.
That was really fucking awesome. I thought the ending battle was pretty cool, although this is my third gripe. That battle starts at night and then goes into daytime and then back into the next night, all within like an hour. It was absurd. I couldn't believe it. They light up those torches to like keep, put the fire ring around all them, and it's pitch black out. Then they start fighting and it's dawn. And then by the time they fight Brixton on that cliff, it's nighttime again. It was bizarre.
You know, it's funny. When I realized Cliff Curtis was Hobbs' brother, I was like, Cliff Curtis is Samoan? I didn't know that. He's actually New Zealand. But I was like, wait a minute. Is this because he's a black guy? I wasn't sure. I was like, wait a minute. This is a walk for me. But now he's Islander. The Samoa stuff really came out of nowhere for me, and I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was just the set pieces leveled up in that third act right there, and it was pretty enjoyable. But a shot of Roman Reigns, who has no lines at all, just does some wrestling moves when he's fighting.
Yep.
Sure, why not? It's being wrestling. I believe John Cena is going to be in Fast 9, which comes out next year. I like the Isa Gonzalez bit role. She's super compelling. Want to see her in more stuff. And is it believable that her and Shaw are dating or fucking? Yeah, I guess. But given what we saw in Shaw in the beginning, ultimately, I think this is successful enough to justify it being a spinoff. And I know it's just being labeled as a blatant money grab for a franchise that is effectively just one never-ending money grab at this point. And even though this only made like $60 some odd million, definitely franchise low. That's actually the biggest non-Disney opening weekend of the summer, which is kind of crazy. And David Leitch, man, co-directs John Wick, Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, now Hobbs and Shaw. Guy's on fucking heater, man, just in terms of big projects that all work. Pretty impressive. And another thing that actually took me by surprise with this, I did not know Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart were going to be. I don't think anyone did.
And Rob Delaney.
Right, and Reynolds apparently actually rewrote a lot of his lines, doing his Deadpool riffing. That was cool. I thought he was a lot of fun in this. You know, Detective Pikachu back in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Kevin Hart, man, coming in as the air marshal, I thought he was really really funny and a great way to kind of push Hobbs and Shaw together.
Yeah.
Now you're not a big fast guy, as you've said. Are you aware of how we first meet Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham, in this franchise? Do you know how he comes into the orbit?
Yeah, he's a villain, right? And
Yeah,
was it 7?
Yes, he's the villain of Furious 7, but he actually comes into play for us in the post credits of Furious 6, where his brother, Owen Shaw, is played by Luke Evans. That's the villain of 6. And at the very end, by a bit of blockbuster retconning, we find out that Han, who dies at the end of Tokyo Drift, the third movie, he was part of Dom's crew, and he went off to Japan, and he dies. We find out that crash where he died in was caused by Jason Statham. Basically, the movie comes up and he's like, Dominic Toretto, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. You don't know who I am, but you will know soon. Like, that's how he set it up. So the point is,
not a bad Statham, man.
He's set up as this big villain, and Han was a fan favorite character. And there's a bit of a Justice for Han campaign ever since Fast 8 back in 2017, where he kind of becomes a pseudo good guy, playing with The Rock and helping the Dom and his crew to a certain extent. And everyone's just thinking, like, we have this Han erasure where this guy committed a heinous act, really killing one of the family, is now kind of a good guy who we like. So some of the hardcore Fast faithful are not happy about this development still.
So is he going to come back?
Han? No, he's super dead.
He's done. Oh, okay.
Yeah. The thing, it's really funny because the way
Brixton was too, right? Like, didn't he get shot in the head?
Who's that?
Brixton.
I think Brixton's super dead as well.
Oh, okay. But apparently he was super dead and then was brought back to life, is what I'm saying.
That's true. We've established this now that everyone's a superhero. Anything's possible. I mean, heck, in Furious 7, we parachuted cars from the sky onto roads. It looked badass. Awesome.
They jump buildings and it goes up. It doesn't go down. It like goes up the floor. It's incredible.
I was thinking about Fury 7. Like, you seen the trailer, like, oh shit, we're jumping the Burj Khalifa with a Ferrari. Oh my god. And then when you watch the movie, you're like, oh my god, we're jumping 2 buildings. It's crazy. But I mean, the thing is, the franchise was obviously a very different thing. It was basically Point Break, but they were stealing DVD players in the first one. And then Too Fast, Too Furious comes out. That's where Tyrese is introduced. That's where Ludacris is introduced. Very bad. Arguably the worst movie of the franchise. And it's basically dead. Tokyo Drift's a spinoff with Lucas Black and Bow Wow. And that's where we first meet Han. And then we find out later, we go back in time. Like, Tokyo Drift's the last movie to take place because Han was alive in the future movies, and he leaves after Furious 6 when Gal Gadot dies. And it's a pretty easy to understand timeline, just the movies came out in different orders. But yeah, this Han erasure, man, the hardcore fans not taking it well. But I mean, it was no different to you, right? You're like, I don't even know who Han is, man. I just know Jason Statham.
How do you feel about this overarching like bad guy that was introduced at the end, who was like controlling Brixton? Yeah, how do you feel about it?
So that's the thing where like they tease that he's met Statham before, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a bit of a red herring. They want all the fans to think, oh, who in the franchise could it be that we've met before? I feel like that's not even decided yet, unless that person's going to show up in 9, which is already being filmed. It'd probably just be a new character played by a famous actor.
Yeah,
to be honest. I suppose it could be Charlize Theron, Cypher.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe it was Charlize
for 9. But yeah, I think it's probably barely fleshed out unless we're going to see it soon. But it's a good tease, I guess, for the franchise building. You know, we already know they want to make a 10th one as well. And the joke for years now has been, we got to take these cars to space. So I think we'll get there.
Where are you putting Hobbs and Shaw in your Fast and Furious rankings?
Firmly middle tier. Too Fast and Fast and Furious, the second and fourth movies, are at the bottom for me. Then it's probably this and Fate, number 8, the last one we saw. Close
This was
together.
probably my favorite Fast and Furious I saw in theaters. So,
How many have you seen?
Zero before this. So it's
Nice.
firmly number one for me.
One of one.
Well,